she was laying on the gurney. It looked like she had died, and they were putting tubes in her throat and trying to resuscitate her with paddles. And then her husband was here just wandering around and in his pajama bottoms, just looking completely dazed and shocked.
Brittany Murphy was born November 10, 1977, in Atlanta, Georgia. Her dad, Angelo Bertolotti, and her mother, Sharon Murphy, had a rocky relationship. It is reported that her dad was in a lot of trouble with the law and that he spent 9 years in prison. He was not present in her life, so when she was very little, her mom moved to Edison, New Jersey, where she started a new life with her daughter. At the age of 4, Brittany started to dance. She danced in this little local studio, but within time she expressed how much she loved dancing and other things like acting, so her mom enrolled her in a school for dance and theater. But at the age of 8, she auditioned for her first theatrical role, which was Little Rosie. She was a natural. She had this personality that everyone loved, and it was bubbly. She got the role for Little Rosie, and it was an amazing run. But by the end of it, Brittany wanted more, and her mom wanted to support her daughter's dream, so she invested in headshots and a manager. They would regularly make trips to Manhattan, an hour away from home, just to go to auditions. Brittany loved her career, and her mom was always with her. They loved each other, but in 1991, it was time for a big decision. Brittany outgrew her little town in New Jersey, and something needed to change. Her mom decided to make the big move to Hollywood. Brittany was getting a lot of roles in TV shows, and as a regular, she was very good at what she was doing. But everything changed in 1995, when at just 17 years old, she got her first big role, Clueless. Her character Ty stole the show, and it went on to become one of those iconic 90s movies. To this day, this movie is loved by a lot of people. Sadly, shortly after Clueless came out, her mom Sharon was diagnosed with breast cancer, and Brittany stopped everything to be around her mom and take care of her. It is said that she would sleep on the hospital floor, but she decided to just stay in the area, which meant that she would only take roles that did not require any traveling or relocation. Then she went and auditioned for one role that became one of her longest and most memorable ones. She was cast as the voice of Luann from King of the Hill. King of the Hill lasted for 13 seasons, and during this, her mom got better, so while she was into voicing Luann, she went on and started to audition for more roles. Brittany was very quick to get into any character. She was good for comedy, drama, and darker roles. That's why she got another memorable role in the movie Girl Interrupted, alongside Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie. This role was something that she had never done before, and it was amazing. Her role was the one that stood. Some people even said that she should have taken the Oscar. In 2001, she was in Don't Say a Word, alongside Michael Douglas, and once again this role was eerie and dark, something that Brittany understood. Later that year, Brittany got a role in a high-profile movie, 8 Mile. This was a commercial success and showed people that she was a serious actress. But in Hollywood, rising always comes with something more than success. During her time in Hollywood, she was compared a lot with other celebrities, which took her to change who she was. Things changed for her the moment she got hair extensions. Her hair, makeup, clothes, and style changed. She was more concerned with her weight. Some people in the industry say that this is what Hollywood does to you. She was told that she needed to lose a lot of weight if she wanted to get leading roles. She started in the romantic comedy Just Married, alongside Ashton Kutcher, and they got in love, and they were in a relationship for 7 months. After they broke up, Ashton went into a radio interview with Howard Stern, and it was awful. Howard called Brittany the fat, ugly chick from Clueless. These were awful times to be in Hollywood. People worried that this type of perception would get to her, that she was funny but not sexy, so she felt like she had to become what they wanted. Brittany was not only getting negative comments about her physique, but she was also getting a lot of attention and opinions about her love life. She was engaged twice, and both times it felt like the media had all over her. In 2003, she starred in Uptown Girls alongside Dakota Fanning, and you could see why people were getting worried about her thin physique. Sadly, during this time and after amazing years, her career began to suffer a little. The constant comments on her physique and her relationships were affecting her career. The early 2000s were different, and things like this would put you in the bad side of Hollywood. She was not getting some it girl roles, but she went to one of her passions, music. She had amazing vocals, and not only did she nail those notes in Happy Feet, but she was also featured in Paul Oakenfold's album, where she did the vocals for Faster Kill Pussycat. It got into the top 10 Billboard charts, but after not being so lucky and only starring in independent films, she gets a call that makes her feel like she is getting the role that would land her into another high-profile movie. A hot new writer and director was in town. A man named Simon Monjack was looking for people to put together a movie called White Hotel. There is not much to say about Simon after you hear that. In London, Simon had a girlfriend and she was excited for him to meet her friends, so a dinner was hosted for everyone so they could meet Simon. Simon said that he was a billionaire. He said that he dated Madonna and that he had terminal brain cancer, that he was cured by some unique treatment that had some shark fins. He said that he collected Ferraris, 17 in total. He said that one of his movies was getting the best reviews in the history of London, and let's just say that people thought that this movie was terrible. But sometime after this dinner, Simon's girlfriend emails the friends and says that everything that came out of his mouth was a lie. Simon was living with girls who had money and then left when the money was gone. He would quickly move on and get engaged to some other woman. Simon's brother said that since he was little, he always knew how to manipulate everything and everyone to get what he wanted. But it felt like Simon was filling that void that Brittany needed in her life due to her father's absence. But after 9 months of dating, one day Simon disappears, and as it turns out, he was caught by ICE. He had some issues with violating his visa. Then 1 month after that, he proposed to Brittany, to which she said yes. This gave people doubts about his true motive, like he probably needed to get married. Simon's bad reputation is starting to come out. It was even reported that there was an intervention where friends and former members of her team showed Brittany and her mom a lot of incriminating evidence from Simon, and they did not believe a word. She was still going to marry him. Brittany and her mom Sharon lived alone their entire lives. Brittany's father left when she was very young. So when Simon came into the picture, it felt like finally there was a man in the house. Some people said that Brittany and her mom made a transition from before Simon, which was these two focused, caring, and lovely ladies, to after Simon, which seemed completely hypnotized. Brittany and Simon's personal trainer recalls the first time that he met the actress and how she was clearly under the influence of something. Her words were not clear and she was all over the place. He also recalls that Simon wanted him to get her ready for a role, and the personal trainer said that he would deal with the team like is done in these cases with actors. He then reached out to her team, and he was told that she fired everyone on the team, and that Simon was her manager, agent, everything, and that he was in charge of his career. Nobody could contact her. Brittany did not have a phone. Simon was the one with the phone, and nobody could contact her. She also did not have access to her own email. He was in charge of everything, her finances. He was making big decisions and extravagant purchases, and he was controlling, restricting her from things like spending time on set while on break. He was driving her to work and waiting outside the set. Her friends felt like she was being held captive. Phone numbers were changed and she just vanished, all because of Simon. Rumors about Brittany being on drugs were going wild. She was dumped by her manager and agents. Her career was struggling because of the tabloids. Simon was barely known by people. He got a little recognition after marrying Brittany. They were never out in public. You could spot them in one event once every 3 to 4 months. A lot of people were skeptical about him. They even called him a shady business guy because he was mysterious, but not in a good way. But despite all the proof and the controlling behavior, Brittany insisted that she was extremely happy. Then this White Hotel movie that they were working on failed to get attention from major studios. Simon was now in debt. Simon owed money to a lot of people like their personal trainer, and this one threatened Simon with going to the media, and within 24 hours he got a check for the whole amount. Simon used fake names, stole money, and bounced checks. This was happening in a lot of countries. He owed to a lot of people that were looking for him, and out of the blue he pops up as a writer who is dating Brittany Murphy. Simon would go and have bizarre photo shoots at night, weird outfits, strange photos of her looking like a doll. It was said that they would stay up late at night, take pills to relax and coffee, then take more pills for energy. He didn't even want people to do her makeup for movies. He was her makeup artist. People claimed that she was gone. She was so into something that she was not worried about makeup or hair. She didn't even want a mirror. She was careless, but not in the free way that you live life like a happy person. She seemed out of it, sick, extremely thin. It came to the point that people were just lying about contacting Brittany, saying that they rejected roles when she had no idea, and it was all because they did not want to deal with Simon. Any role that was offered to her, any contact had to be done through her husband. Brittany Murphy was in Puerto Rico for the movie The Caller, but she got fired after 2 days of filming. Someone got slapped or hit. The story isn't clear because it was also said that Simon was storming into the set, drunk and causing issues with his behavior, but it is also reported that she was in and out of consciousness. This affected her career a lot because she was not called back for Happy Feet 2, and she had a role voicing Tinkerbell, and she was replaced. She was not getting any rest. Simon would keep her up late and get her food, and they would watch TV. After Puerto Rico, her flu-like symptoms got worse because her immune system was dropping. Her illness was being treated with over-the-counter medications. Her body was fragile. 2 weeks before her death, Brittany and Simon, as I mentioned before, were in Puerto Rico, and she became ill, or what her mom described as flu-like symptoms. There was a storm there, raining very badly, and the three of them got sick. After they went back to LA, Simon and Sharon got better, but not Brittany. She would just stay in the bathroom and go back to bed. In the morning, she went into the bathroom floor and then was discovered unresponsive. Her mom discovered her, and she was then taken into the shower and turned the cold water to see if they could revive her. This is why some people are questioning her death, because why not call 911 immediately? Ed Winters, assistant chief coroner, recalls how they got into the house where Simon and Sharon were in the room. Sharon was sitting on the couch. He said that she would cry and stop to talk to Simon and cry again. He said that Simon was pacing around the room and he could tell that he was under the influence, not totally coherent. He said that there were several indicators that something wasn't right. He even said that it was the feeling that you get the hair behind your neck stand up and say, "What is this?" The coroner said that when they were investigating the house, looking at every cabinet, especially prescription bottles, they noticed that Simon's nightstand was full. It had around 90 prescription bottles with different names. Some people question if he kept her on drugs to control her. People that were around them said that Simon was in control and you could feel it. They even reported that Sharon also acted like he was in control, like she was submissive around him. Also, Simon didn't want an autopsy done on her body. 3 hours after her death, the media and paparazzi surrounded her house. There was barely space for others to drive or even park in the street. Some reporters slept in front of the house in their cars for 2 or more days. After her death, a reporter had to investigate her last days to learn more about her activities and whereabouts. She said that stories were not consistent, but one thing was said over and over, that her husband Simon was not good for her. People said that they were in the house 24/7. Within hours of her passing, comments on the internet about her weight and alleged eating disorder started to come out, and people were convinced that she went too far. She was 32, so when you have a celebrity that dies too young, in Hollywood, it means another thing, drugs. People went as far as saying that she overdosed, all of this within hours of her death. We can understand why people thought this. Brittany's physique changed. She was getting too thin and it was becoming noticeable. After her death, Simon strangely spoke about Brittany, and he liked to take credit for her career. He said that she looked nice because he told her what to do and what to wear. A creepy thing from all of this is that Simon and her mom Sharon were living in the house, and a couple of pictures of them came out. They were holding a photo of Brittany, and it was creepy. They looked like they were married and just lost their child. One reporter who visited the house said that there was tension around them, that it felt like they shared the bed, and then Simon said that he sometimes is in bed and Sharon would crawl with him and cry. They were sharing the bed. All these comments were getting out of hand. Simon and Sharon did an interview with Larry King, which for them was a way of clearing rumors that were going around, especially after the photos. The interview was sad and tearful, but their driver for that night, who happened to be a LAPD officer who worked as a driver during some nights, said that as soon as they left the interview, it all looked like it was a show. After Brittany's death, Simon started the Brittany Murphy Foundation. Several friends of the actress and people in the media received an email with what looked like an invitation for a memorial requesting several thousands of dollars. A lot of people thought that this was weird, contacted each other, and they agreed. The media got a hold of this and immediately reported that it was not a foundation, it was not charity or anything. Then it all went away. It is said that this was Simon's way of making money. He had nothing going on, and his money came from Brittany. Simon was found by Sharon unresponsive in his LA home. His autopsy revealed that he died from pneumonia and that he had a large presence of multiple prescription medications. So 5 months after Brittany's death, Simon was found dead in the bathroom, just like Brittany, and the same causes. There was mold in the house, a lot hiding in the walls of the house, but the medical examiner that performed the autopsy on Brittany's body said that there was no mold found on her lungs, nothing in her body related to mold. Police and the coroner wanted to investigate the house and look more into what was happening there, but a day later the attorney called and said that Sharon did not want anyone in the house. She denied access and she was going to sell the house. Brittany's father said that she was poisoned. He was convinced that she was murdered. Angelo was suspicious that Sharon was perfectly fine, and a couple that was younger than her was dead. Angelo got hair strands from Brittany to have them tested so he could get his own toxicology report. They were sent to a private lab that Angelo hired, and what they discovered was shocking. Brittany had a high concentration of 10 heavy metals in her system, and she might have been intentionally poisoned. Heavy metals are commonly found in rat and insect killers. Brittany's autopsy was done and it said that her hemoglobin was 3.0 when the normal is 12 to 15.5. This is anemia, and to this level is said to be a life-threatening situation. Her autopsy reported that she had severe pneumonia and no evidence of alcohol or drugs. However, it did report that she had a large amount of over-the-counter prescription medications. This was a fatal combination and the medication made it worse. Sadly, Brittany only needed a trip to the hospital before her death. But why her family didn't take her to the hospital? Why wait? They instead made an appointment after 6 weeks of battling this illness, but sadly, she never made it. Simon went through $3 million, Brittany's money, in 3 years. And there was nothing. The jewelry was fake. Everything else that he said he got, stocks, real estate, everything was fake. He even had a child that nobody knew about, a child that was going to a private school in England. He was paying with Brittany's money. Brittany, her mom, attorneys, nobody knew about this until after his death. Shocker, the mother of this mysterious child came out to talk about the lies that Simon told her. Her name is Elizabeth. He proposed to her, and then one day she claims that he told her that he had spinal cancer. Weirdly enough, this came after he started crying because she did not want to make love to him. He said that he had to go and get treatment in Monaco. Then she felt bad and made love to him. Talk about manipulation. She said that intimacy was rough and not always when she wanted to. He talked about the shark's cartilage treatment. He said that they needed to have a child immediately because this was going to make him sterile. So when this woman became pregnant, she was very sick. There was no morning sickness because it was there all day. She wanted to have support from her family and fly them to Monaco, but Simon said no, he did not want anyone around them. He cut her off from everyone and did not want to take her to a doctor. She had a friend who was really worried and decided to figure out what was going on, so she went there, and this friend told Elizabeth that she looked like she was in a concentration camp. Threatened Simon so he could get her to a doctor, and to this day, Elizabeth thinks that this is what saved her life. So Simon wanted to have this baby in the USA. He sent Elizabeth to New York, and when she got there, she called him and he hung up. He was ignoring her until she had no choice but to call his mom, and that's when his mom told her that he didn't have cancer. He was using his mother's money to have this lifestyle. The main reason why nobody knew about this is because not only did Simon ghost her for years, but when he married Brittany Murphy, there was some contact with Elizabeth and he treated her by taking her son away from her. He has money now, so he didn't need anyone to know that he had a son out there. After Simon's death, more things came out, like the fact that he was sued over a dozen times, he had multiple warrants, and all of this was due to shady financial things.